Hello, welcome to Practically Magic. I am your host, Courtney Pearl.
I'm Jamie Osbar.
We're here at Rising Moon Minerals to give you another great episode about magic and the true magic of the world. I pre-pulled a card because I'm using the Celtic Tarot, Christopher Hughes deck. It's one of my favorites. But I pre-pulled this card because I wanted to really dive into the folklore of it and make sure that he uses a lot of the Celtic folklore in his tarot. And we were talking about this new month. We're coming into November now. I'm in mourning. No. We both dressed in black today.
We're both wearing dark color. Yeah.
I feel like
it's a reflection of the season. Yes.
Yeah. Which is interesting because it is kind of that descent into death, winter being the symbol for death. And so we're going to get into some topics about the seasonal flow of what we're getting into, but we were talking about abundance for the theme in November here at Rising Moon Minerals. And I pulled the card, the Mother, which is a card of abundance because as they would say in England, she's dead pregnant.
Dead pregnant.
Look at that. Just like the Empress in the typical tarot, just full of this motherly, abundant energy.
Whoa.
I think of it more as the spring, that fertility sort of symbol. But I do love it for today. And I love all the little details that they have in these cards because she has a little bloody scythe.
Right. And I was going
next
to
to
ask
her.
you about that. I was like, what's happening?
Yeah. I love that the symbolism a lot of times with goddesses like in Hindu, like Kali, there's always kind of an element of death and destruction with rebirth and creation. And I love the play and balance of those things because we like to compartmentalize, at least us in the Western society. We like to be like beauty, love, and abundance. This is reminding me of the other day we were driving past Hobby Lobby. And we're a Michaels family. I just have to say that. My son goes, "Oh, Hobby Lobby, we should go in there." And I was like, "Yeah, nah." I'm like, they don't put Halloween stuff up in their store. And my son was like, "Why?" And I said, "Well, they're owned by a Christian organization, and they believe that Halloween depictions are too pagan or too representative of the devil or death." But I think it's hilarious and incredibly ironic that they love to put out Easter stuff.
Celebrating what?
Celebrating rebirth.
The death of Jesus and then the
death
rebirth.
of Jesus and the rebirth. And there's just these like eggs and bunnies all over the place. Eggs and bunnies. What
And
is
crosses.
more pagan than eggs and bunnies?
Yeah, I don't think they realize.
The double standard.
Yeah.
But it's that whole idea of like, we love to celebrate rebirth and we love the flowers and the rainbows and the
happy.
But that death is somehow something to be afraid of and something to
push away.
Yeah, it's evil or it's associated with evil and darkness. When it actually, oh my gosh, words. I'm talking and the word just goes, like, bye word. It's all the same is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, and you can't have the light without the dark. You can't have the rebirth without the death, right? And it's interesting because we usually talk about this at the end. But as we're talking about this, and this is why I believe that I chose this crystal today.
Yeah. We were called.
Yeah, the Black Moonstone. So Black Moonstone is all about like when you're working in the shadow, right?
Yeah.
When you're looking at the dark parts of ourselves.
Which we are today.
Which
clearly.
Right. And this is so interesting. I love how things just come together this way. But they do have some chatoyancy to them.
Oh my
like
gosh.
This one is black with some peach moonstone in it. But it is a really great crystal to work with when you're doing the shadow work, when you're focusing on your shadow self. It brings out nurturing, divine feminine energy. It helps strengthen intuition and inner knowledge, helping you connect to your inner emotions, fosters a sense of empowerment to break us free from everyone else's burdens, brings a feeling of freedom, and supports new beginnings. Isn't that crazy how I picked this crystal, you picked that card, and
Mhm.
our general theme was gratitude, where how can we be grateful for things? How can we show gratitude
Oh my gosh, yeah.
if we don't also recognize the other side of that, the things that we suffer through
Yep.
in order to be grateful for the things that and people that we have in our lives. So,
Yeah. I think there's some theologists that would argue that, for example, the mythology of the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, that really the existence in pure paradise where nothing goes wrong is um lacking, and that there was no way for Adam and Eve to get the knowledge, like the knowledge of good and evil. They would never be able to ascend to a higher level of anything if they just remained there. And I think as humans, our human experience of being like, obviously, we would all love to be in a state of pure joy and bliss all the time. But imagine if we were. I mean, just take that into consideration. If we were in the Garden of Eden all the time, everything's great, everything's provided for all the time. If you don't know anything else, how do you find the gratitude for what you have?
right, right. How do you know that you have so much?
Mhm.
How do you know to be grateful for all of those things that you have and are being provided for you if you don't know that anything else is out there? That those things can be taken from you.
Yeah.
They can be removed and you then suffer.
Yes.
So it's interesting to look at the polarity of it, the double-sided, you can't have one without the other. It's the yin, the yang, the dark, the light, the
Mhm.
balance. How do
Yeah.
you find that middle ground, that balance without experiencing both?
I know a wise person who said, like, so, when she's going through a really hard time, or the year had, there was a lot of loss, so there was a lot of like money spent that she wouldn't get back and things like that. She goes, I am going to call that the tuition of the school of life.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, when you reframe it that way, what a different perspective to think that when we go to college to learn and to have a degree, we want to be able to have that degree so that we can do that, enter into that career or that field of study. We pay a tuition. It's it's a big one.
Yeah.
Tuition's no joke.
Mm-hmm.
But why do we do it? We do it because we're like, hey, this is worth it because I'm going to gain this knowledge. Not only are we paying tuition, but let's be honest, any kind of real tough school is going to be tough to do. The pressures, the assignments, and the tests, we're paying for that experience to be able
Right.
to be sort of in a state of suffering, at
Right.
least the stress of it, of school. So why? Why do we do that? But in life, we're having these experiences that are sometimes really hard, but to have gratitude even in those experiences, that this is the tuition I'm paying to get my degree
Mm.
in the school of life. I'm going to learn amazing things from this. They're going to be hard things that I have to go through. It's on the syllabus that I have to experience this. I have to
Right.
go through this.
Right.
Yeah, so this is the season of gratitude, and not just because here in America we experience Thanksgiving during this time of year. Um, I think those coincide nicely, but it's not just that. It really is the season to remember at the harvest time what has been given to us. And I was thinking about it as I was preparing for this episode and talking about gratitude. I was thinking again about our ancestors and their wheel of the year and how that those traditions fell in line. So we had Samhain, uh, which it's still Samhain season during November, but we talked about that last week, how it's the last harvest season. And then in the Celtic tradition, you don't harvest anything after November 1st. That's the cutoff. You can't take anything else from the ground, from the fair. But then it's like, now what? So
Mm.
our ancestors, can you imagine what they did at that last harvest season? And I think a lot of us are going through that this year. This year's been tough for a lot of small business owners. I think for everybody. I think there's a lot of people being laid off their jobs. I think
Mm.
things are just, I mean, it's just rough out there right now. And I think a lot of people are experiencing what this feels like. But if our ancestors harvested those 3 harvest festivals, Samhain, they harvest the rest of what's left, and then they look at what they have. Can you imagine what it felt like to not have enough for winter?
Mm,
You're looking at what you have and you're like, the harvest wasn't good this year and we may not make it through winter.
yeah,
Like our family may not survive and what that feels like.
that's heavy.
That's kind of what we're experiencing right now is we're looking at this period of time and going, okay, what have we got?
Right.
Do we
Yeah.
have enough? Are we going to make it?
Can we come together as a community and support those around us who don't have enough,
Mhm.
who've been reliant on certain benefits that are now being taken away? And what do you do? Like for me, it's really difficult because it's not something I've ever been reliant on. I have used some of these benefits before when I was a very young mother, and we had a single income household and we needed the support, and that was I was so grateful for that. But it was also kind of like, I'm only going to use this temporarily. This isn't something I'm going to use for a very long time. I'm not going to be reliant on it. And fortunately, we were able to come off of the support. But to have that and to use that and to be reliant on that, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-mm.
That's how you're supporting your family and that's how you're surviving. This is your harvest. So, like in my mind, what I'm seeing is these people are going out into the field and someone has ripped out all of their crops and says,
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah. We're taking all of this
Hmm.
and
And we're
you'll
just
just have to make
leaving.
do with what you have left.
Right. And what if what you have left is nothing? What do you do?
Yeah. And that's why
So,
it's exactly what you're saying is the gathering together as a community, I think goes hand in hand with the gratitude theme is that um part of those social programs that we have, and I won't go too far into the political, but you have to consider it as we're only as strong as our weakest members of the community, in that there are going to be members of the community who, because of lack of privilege or whatever it is, might need those services more, might need them for longer, might need them their whole life. You never know. Not everybody's going to need them their whole life. Some people are like, well, my husband got a promotion. I was able to finish my degree and get a new job. We were able to kind of change circumstances in
hmm
this modern day society. That's not always, I mean, circumstances are what they are.
hmm
That's not always possible for everyone. And not everyone is privileged enough to have that possible for them.
right.
So just a recognition of that, first of all. And second, the gratitude of we're not in that um, time anymore where most of us are looking at what we've harvested literally in fruits and vegetables and saying we may not make it through winter.
Mm.
Most of us are looking at our bank account and going,
Ooh.
okay, maybe, if we get desperate, we'll have to live in some credit card debt because that's just really the only option. Or whatever it is. Because in an economy that's not doing so well, going out and like maybe getting a second job is not that easy. That's
Right.
not as easy as to just feel like, well, I could just make a couple of extra bucks here and there and then we'll be fine. When everyone's scrambling to find work and you
Mhm.
have like 400 applicants per job, this is what we're looking at. And it feels very scarce, although that's not the energy we want to stay in. So it's the biggest challenge to be able to find gratitude even when things are scarce or when the harvest hasn't been good, and what does that look like? So we've kind of talked about this before when we talked about praying. The energy you come into prayers with, if it comes into it with fear and you're like, please let me be healthy. Please don't let me get sick. I used to pray like this as a kid. I'm hearing myself right now and I'm thinking, oh yeah, that sounds familiar. I was probably like, please don't let my parents start today. My prayers on the way to school every morning, something like that. But it was like, please don't let this, please have this, please give me that, please help me be safe. And it comes with this energy of fear. You can feel the
Mm.
difference in the wording and how it's worded rather than treating it like something you already have that you're grateful for.
Right.
and that switch. And I have read enough spirituality books, self-help books, you name it, The Secret, those kind of, law of attraction type books, all of the energetics of it. And I don't know anybody that isn't saying gratitude is at the heart of everything,
Right.
pretty much.
It's really easy to say because this has happened to me where I was in a state of depression, anxiety, and worry. Like I was just worried. And for someone to go, I don't know why you feel that way. You just need to be grateful. And you're like, well, you just oversimplified things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's
Yeah.
really easy, I think, to say, well, just be grateful for what you do have and don't focus so much on what you don't have. But
Mhm.
it's not that easy to just flip,
Mm-mm.
right? So
It's not.
we need as a society, as human beings, to reflect on what's causing us to focus so much on that negative, what we don't
Mhm.
have, what we're worried about. Let's look at what's causing that
Mhm.
thought process, and
Those
then
patterns that
right, and then learn to recondition and relearn the way that we think and the way that we reflect and the way that we bring forward that gratitude. Because if we're just
Mhm.
told, just be grateful, it's like,
Yeah. Well, that's like any healing work. It's like just change how you think and how you do things.
mm,
Changing that's a same thing as saying change your neural pathways.
yeah,
Your neural pathways have a route that they take. And pessimism or negativity or whatever you want to call it, getting caught in those loops of scarcity. It's not that that's a bad thing, and I don't want anyone to feel judged by that, but just that your brain does that for a specific reason.
mhm,
So that's first awareness. Like, okay, I know my brain's doing this because it thinks it's going to get something out of this. So in healing work with my clients, I'm usually going through the process, emotional processing of saying, okay, so what is your payoff? What benefit do you feel like you're getting from that stressing out and looping in those loops? Because we often do feel, even if it's not logical, because it's usually not, but we feel like we are getting more control over the situation
mm,
somehow.
mhm,
"Ugh, this is never going to work.
yeah,
I'm never going to have what I want. I'm never, this isn't going to, or looking at your bank account and saying, we don't have any money. So we're going to have to save every dime and we're going to have to cut a bunch of expenses. And we're going to have to change our lifestyle and we're going to have to do all this. And yeah, actions maybe need to be taken, but the feeling or the vibration around that scarcity feeling, that tightening up, that like
mhm, yeah,
survival mode, essentially stress or the, activation of the sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, or freeze. It's our body's way of reacting because we think we're going to get some control over the situation.
right,
I can control how much is in my bank account right now if I do this, if I
mm,
stress.
mm.
And that's almost never the case.
No, it never turns out to actually have any sort of control. It all it ever did for me personally was cause me to lose sleep, cause me to not take care of my body and feed myself well, and then I started to feel
Mhm.
worse. And not only was I mentally and emotionally distraught, but then my body started showing signs of issues. So the payoff is becoming worse
Yep.
rather than finding a path to getting better. And I think what I was trying to say was finding better ways, but not just because someone's telling you to,
Mhm.
but because you realize, and it took a long, long time for me to realize that those patterns, those thought processes, and allowing myself to fall into those downward spirals wasn't doing me any good. And it wasn't
Yep.
just me, it was affecting everybody around me. So taking it one step at a time, starting with talk therapy, and then starting with the spiritual awakening that I had, and then doing healing sessions. And it just really started with being aware,
Mhm.
just being aware and not feeling shame about it.
Yeah.
Well, how could I do this to myself my whole
Mhm.
life? How could I do this to myself? And then it just kind of starts that other downward spiral.
Yep. Shame
So,
spiral, I
right.
call it.
So giving yourself some grace and going, I did the best I could with what I had, and now I want to learn to do better. and I want to apply those into my life as much as I can, right? Like just giving yourself that grace, the space, and the opportunity to do and feel better it was life changing for me. I That's all I can say
Mhm.
is I can't tell anybody else what their healing journey looks like, what their spirituality looks like, what their new ways of processing and thinking and treating themselves looks like. But I can say that for me, it's changed not only the way that I perceive myself, but the way that I present myself in the
Mhm.
world and the way that I connect with people and actually being able to create genuine connection is it's life changing. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And it really is going back to like feeding your soul, feeding yourself, taking
Mhm.
care of yourself first. Because if you can get to a state where that is a priority, you are so much more capable of
Mm.
handling whatever you've got to handle than when you're stressing out.
Mhm.
And I've said this many times, I will continue to say it for the rest of my life till I die, is you can solve more problems being creative, being in a calm state, the process of your brain working at 40,000 bits per second versus 40 bits per second when
Mm.
you're stressed.
Mhm.
So you're going to, in a calm state, go, how can we solve this problem? So this is the problem. Here are several different choices of how we can solve it.
Mhm.
Whereas in a stress state of mind, you might just be like, we just can't spend any money at all. We're
This is
just
the
gonna
only way to solve the problem.
we gotta freak out and we gotta, which, me and my husband pretty much do every time we do the bills. I feel like that's our pattern is like he'll sit and do bills and he'll be like, oh my gosh, the credit card bill was this high this month and we gotta do, and we just gotta stop drinking coffee. We're gonna stop drinking coffee. And I'm like, I'm
That's
not sure that solves that problem, but I'm like, I try to be like, this doesn't help. I feel it. I get stressed too. I go,
Mhm.
what? Okay, well, what are we going to do? But then it's like, actually, we can solve this problem so much easier if we just take it one day at a time,
Mhm.
move some money around, look at our budget, look at like the ways we do things. I mean, there's so many creative solutions possible to you when you just calm down and you look
Mhm.
at everything in a calm state of mind.
Right.
But changing those neural pathways to gratitude, like you said, it's not like you can just be like, just be grateful.
Just be
Just
grateful. Just think
just
happy
do it.
thoughts.
Think happy thoughts. Oh my gosh. Then you fly. Like you're
Oh my gosh.
Um, but one of the things I always tell people is, and I haven't been doing it lately. I know you can tell because the stress this month was a little much for me. I'm showing it all over my face. Like if you're talking about physical, taking care of yourself, I have insomnia. I'm breaking out all over my face. That's shame. That's
Mhm.
how shame shows up. So yeah, it the physical responses as well. But I haven't been doing my things. So I'm going to share with you the things, and then I'm going to say that's the things I should be doing.
Mhm.
The gratitude journal is a huge one. And I really, really notice it when I'm not doing it. And I get lazy. But neuroscience coming into this, gratitude journal before bed, before sleep
Mhm.
is probably optimal time. So if you can have a gratitude journal next to your bed with a pen and just before I fall asleep, I'm just going to go through. And even if it's just a quick list, I mean, it doesn't have to be like, dear journal,
These are
today.
all the wonderful things that happened to me today.
If you can just list a couple of things that happened that day, even if you had the worst day and you're flopping into bed going, ugh,
It can't get
it's
worse.
the worst day. I just want this day to end. Because I'll tell you, last night I was having that issue
Mm.
where I was stewing about something, which I'll talk about a little bit. I have to talk about it. But I'm stewing about something and I was like, I am not going to get to sleep.
Mm.
This is just sticking in my head. If I sit down and write out, like, here's a couple things I'm grateful for. Let me just look around my room right now and just look at what I have here in front of me. Look at who's in the house with me, my family, sleeping. We just have not been sleeping well lately.
Mm.
My son um accidentally watched a horror movie. but he
Oh,
wasn't supposed to watch at a friend's house.
whoops.
He was like, "I didn't know."
I
Um,
didn't know.
we wouldn't have known about it except that the night before last, he was up all
Oh,
night.
gosh.
All night. My husband does not have the patience for it anymore. And like, they're not babies anymore. So he's like, I have work in the morning. I'm like, yeah. We know. You're very important. But yeah. So we were up all night. He was just like, I'm scared of the things. And I'm like, what things?
And then you found out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it came out. Like at first it was like, I just saw this really scary ad. I'm
Oh.
like, no, you didn't. What was it? Come on. So we got it out of him. Yeah, he watched a scary movie. But uh lesson learned, I
Mhm.
guess.
Hopefully.
So that and yeah, just I had so many October events that I was doing in the stress of just like getting all that done and ready and all the things. So we had an event, the Rainbow Magic Paint Night. I did this really wonderful paint night for couples. It could be mother daughter, it could be friends, it could be, and I kind of just left it really open for age ranges. So it could be kids, it could be, because I had a lot of people reaching out to me. They're like, "Is this for kids?" And I'm like, "Sure, it could be for kids." And then
Yeah.
they're like, saw mother daughter, and they're like, "Well, what if I bring my son?" I'm like, "Bring your son. I'm not
Totally
going to
fine.
discriminate." Gonna discriminate genders on who wants to rainbow magic paint night, right? So we had this event. Anyway, one client, one customer was not getting what she expected. So she emailed me. She's like, I just didn't know it was going to be like that. I thought, I was expecting more guidance. I think what she thought it was just going to be, those like date night, paint night things where someone stands up in front of the whole group and says, step by step, paint this.
Mhm.
That's not my jam. If you want that, go find a wine and paint place. Go do that.
Yeah.
It's fine. I think they're great. I've actually learned a few things going to those. It's fine. But with the way that I teach art lessons with kids, the way that I do art, the way that I teach color and the expression of color with your emotional experience, I don't tell it's more open-ended, it's more intuitive. So I do guidance as far as here's some techniques you can use, get the paint wet, get the canvas wet, and then dip the colors into that and do this. So we were creating spells, color magic, by having it be like, okay, if you wanted to create a potion of money, let's say, pick a color and then paint that color. So we're kind of doing that. So I think that was just not what she expected. And she was one of the only ones that brought her daughter that's a kid that was young. So I could just tell right away when she sat down, just as she was looking at the table, and I decorated with like rainbow pumpkins and all kinds of cute stuff. I was dressed like a rainbow butterfly. Okay. I went all out. You'll see pictures on my social media. You can check that out. But when she wrote back her feedback, she was like, this wasn't what I was expecting. She's kind of asking for her money back, actually. And she was like, I thought it was going to be more geared towards kids. And I was like,
Mm.
I was dressed like a butterfly. I don't know how much more. And there were children's books everywhere, by the way. I like handed her children's books and I was like, hey, while you're waiting for your little painting to dry, you could read this together. Things like that. Anyway, so it just was kind of clear that I think she went into it with these expectations. And rather than taking the experience for what it was, and this is why I'm bringing it back to gratitude, because I think sometimes we go into experiences with such expectations that we can't even see the gratitude or the goodness of the experience we're getting. And I think with anticipation rather than expectations, you can get a lot more out of an experience by being like, oh, this is different, but
Right.
oh, look what I'm going to get. I'm going to spend time with my daughter and we're going to paint together. And we're learning about how colors represent different emotions and energies. And
I think one thing that was standing out to me as you told me the story is there's the opportunity there for her to meet new people too,
mhm,
right? There were people there that she didn't know.
yeah, chat with people.
There's a whole experience there that because it wasn't exactly what she wanted it to be. And mind you guys, I don't know who this is. I wasn't there,
Yeah,
but
didn't
just
know them.
hearing her email to you the words that she's saying. This is I wanted this to happen and you didn't
Give
make it.
me that.
You didn't
Yeah.
you didn't meet my expectations. So I want you to give me my money back. What I paid you isn't worth what I experienced.
Mhm.
And that is completely irrelevant
Yeah.
because you signed up for something
I provided the experience
as
that I was paid to
advertised.
provide as advertised,
Right.
right? So it's kind of like, well, how much am I responsible for your expectations
Mm,
and that they weren't met, right?
right.
Like if I went into, I paid to get into a zoo and I wanted that zoo to have dragons or even just like really exotic animals that I wanted to see, but that zoo doesn't have that animal. Am I going to go like
Oh, I want my money
demanding my
back.
money back?
Yeah.
I walked around, I saw animals, I experienced the zoo, and
Right.
I paid for that experience. But because it wasn't met, my expectations weren't met. Do I get to demand my money back? So as a business owner, I was kind of stewing with that, like, oh, how much am I really responsible for here? And like, is it that whole old school? Um, I think we've evolved from this, but the customer is always right. Do whatever you can to appease a customer.
Mhm.
I do feel like that's kind of evolved in business. We're
Right.
like,
Well,
to a
because I think
certain extent.
this is where the Karen has developed, right? Is that
Right.
people have learned that the customer is always right. So if they decide that they didn't like it or whatever, that they can just go, "Oh, I didn't like it. Give me my money back."
Yeah.
And for a long time, people were like, "Okay, here's your money back. Okay, here's your money back." And now people are starting to set that boundary, especially as those small business owners.
Yeah. When it's like for this experience in particular, I made no money on it. None. And I don't mind saying that. I just didn't. A lot of times events are like that. You
Mm,
spend more than you make.
right.
But then it's like, okay, I still want to do it because I'm providing people with an experience and letting them know who I am and what I do. And they're gonna benefit from this. And I really want that to happen. So part of it is just kind of chalking it up to,
Learning.
meh,
It's the
it is what it
school
is.
of life.
It's a school. It's the
The
tuition that
tuition.
I paid for the school of life. Maybe it's the tuition she's paying for the school of life too.
Right,
I
right.
don't know.
Mm,
It could be if she chooses to let it be an experience that she learns from. I don't know.
mm,
But yeah, I think that it like I said, I don't make money on this, and so I think about, okay, she did the paint night. They got to do several paintings together. The materials, the time, the experience. I mean, I could write a resume of like all the things you didn't see behind the scenes that were included. I'll never make back. Like I'll never make enough money to pay me back for all the time and experiences and everything that I put into this. But then, she drinks at Land of a Thousand Hills because the event was sponsored by Land of a Thousand Hills. That's where the location was. Drinks for everybody were provided. They got drinks. I mean, they got the experience. So it's kind of like, hmm, yeah, makes me sit and go, okay, how do I respond to that? That's why I couldn't sleep last night because
yeah.
I was stewing about that and just thinking, how do I respond in a way that's respectful and, validates her feelings? I want to validate that, okay, you came into this with an expectation that you didn't get.
Mm.
And I'm sorry that's definitely not what I would want for
And
someone.
I appreciate the feedback.
Appreciate the feedback.
I'm
I do.
grateful for the feedback. It's so
So
hard.
grateful.
Yeah, it's so hard to be grateful when it feels so negative, right? When
Mhm.
someone comes at you and says, "These are all the negative things that I experienced with this event that you put on."
Yeah.
Or like I've had people come back and say, "This is all the negative things that I experienced in your shop or with this product or whatever." And it's
Hmm.
like when you really break it down, it's not you,
Yeah.
it's not the experience. It's like you said, it's what her expectation was.
Yeah.
So
And it
if you
wasn't meant.
like
Yeah.
you could break it down and be like, okay, well, this much for the drinks, this much for the supplies, and this much for my time. So actually you owe me money.
I should have charged you more, actually.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Like if
no.
you really break it
I
down
don't
that
want to
way.
I
But
don't want to, tit for tat things like
no.
that. But as a business owner, those are the things you have to think about. I mean, that
Mm,
energetics wise, as an energy person, as an energy healer, you do have to kind of think about it as energetic exchange. Well, there was an energetic exchange here. Um, the rejection of that exchange, that's not on me, but going back to, because we've talked about reviews and we've talked about like somebody leaving a review when it really had nothing to do with you or your business.
Mhm.
And we talked about how it's hard not to take it personal. It was hard for me not to get defensive. It was hard for me not to be like, well, wait a minute. Let me tell you all the reasons why that's not correct.
Yeah.
But it is hard not to take it personal because we've talked about this before. It is my business and it's what I do and it's not who I am, but a part of it is.
Yeah, it's intertwined.
It's
They're
intertwined
connected.
because I'm like, I put everything, like this is my life's work, my life's passion
Mhm.
in defense as I'm getting defensive in my defense. But I mean, I've experienced as a teacher, I've had probably over 20, I would count 24 years of experience teaching kids and I used to teach theater camps when I was in high school. I mean, I have experience with children in a long career. And this is the first time I've ever had this experience where someone didn't like me or didn't like what I did.
Wow.
In all that time, and as I've started Prism Healing and done all of these healing through art, heart smart art for kids, myth and magic art lessons with kids, I have all these, programs and classes and workshops and things that I do and events, which is night out, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, this is the first time I've ever had somebody that was like, I don't like
Give
it.
me my money back.
And so, yeah, it's a little shocking. I was like,
Whoa.
what?
And that's okay. Like,
But
I think what you're currently doing is trying to make sense of what someone else is feeling and what they're doing. I
mhm.
did the same thing. I've done the same thing. I think we all do it as humans. We're trying to make sense of why someone says or feels a certain way and the gall that they have,
The
right?
audacity. I should
Right,
have
to
worn
be
my
like
audacity t-shirt that says that. Audacity?
right, for them to be like,
It's okay.
what you did isn't good enough for me.
Yeah.
And then to
Yeah,
be able
because
to
that's what
step
it
back
feels
and
like.
go, okay, you can have that opinion. I'm grateful for the feedback. I'm grateful for whatever it is that you can find and be grateful for. What's hard is to not get into that. Oh no, I'm not good enough for anybody.
Yeah.
I never want to
Oh,
do
I
another
definitely went
event.
there. I was like, I think
Mhm.
I'm done. I think I'm done. Which sounds so reactive now.
Right, right.
But in the moment, I was like hating the feeling of it so
Mm.
much. I was like, I
Ugh,
never want to do this again. I never want to open myself up to that again.
right. Mm.
And you can't think that way. I mean, that's life. You can't shut yourself away. Although I do. I try
Yeah.
to shut myself away. In the wintertime, I like to shut my little doors,
Well, and I
like
think
cottage house, and
if
be
you
like,
do it for the right reason, right? If you're just hiding because someone attacked you,
yeah,
I mean, I went through the same thing months ago when I was on the defensive. I was under attack. My business was under attack. I I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, then I'll just shut down.
yeah,
I'll just shut everything down
close it up. I'm
and
done.
I'm done. I'm going to take myself off of Google. I'm going to take myself off of all these places so I cannot get attacked anymore. And that was a reactive thought. That was a reactive solution.
Yeah.
When in reality, that's not what I wanted. That's not who I am. I'm not the person that runs and hides.
Hmm.
I'm the person that stands up and goes, guess what? Your feelings are valid. I hear you. I see you. I can't be for everybody.
Yeah. That's exactly what I had to say, you know, last night was, well, I'm not for everybody. I mean, not everybody's going to get what I'm putting out. They're
Yeah.
not going to get it. That's okay.
Yeah. So being able to, and I think this comes back to where we started, being able to be grateful for both.
Mm-hmm.
Both, you get those 5-star reviews. Wonderful. Everything was great. I love this place. I love this person. I love my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 1-star review of everything about this situation sucked. And you're like polar opposites,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
being able
You're
to
like,
look at
how could that be?
right, but being able to look at both of them and go, cool, this person loves everything about what I'm doing. This person found a little tiny bit
Yeah.
that
Which so far for both of us, I mean, when you really look at any of those things that we've had, and it's been one,
Yeah.
basically. You look at it and you go, oh, that really, even their negative comment or their negative review or their negative view of my business or whatever, it wasn't a real personal comment. Like it was like, oh, that's just their thing,
Right.
kind of.
That's
So
their reaction. That's
it'd be different if they
their
walked in, they're like, you screamed at me when I when I came into your shop
yeah.
and you chased me out and threw stones at me. And then you'd be like, oh, I did
Yeah,
that.
I did do that, yeah.
That sucks. I shouldn't have done that. No.
Totally different than saying you have a pride flag in your window.
And I personally don't
They
agree with the pride
right.
flag,
So
right? So
they
you're like,
took it as I was throwing stones at them and chasing them away, right? Like it's a
yeah, you're like,
perception, it's
okay.
it's how they want to see it.
Right.
So a healed or healing type of person goes through that whole, oh my gosh, I'm this person and nobody likes me and I want to shut down the business. But then they're able to step out of that and go, that's one person's experience.
Yeah.
And as much as I would love to cater to that person and change everything that I'm doing to appease that person,
Mm.
that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. I can't do that because then that's going to upset somebody else.
Right.
And then I'm going to try and change everything to appease to that person. And then that's going to, you know what I mean? It's
And
like,
that's not living authentically.
right.
It's, well, and that goes back to, it's a really good point because I've heard a lot of actors talk about this. I love to listen to podcasts with actors talking about the experience of being an actor. But I find that they say this a lot, which is you can't take those negative reviews or those negative comments online any more than you can take the positive ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
even the positive things or the awards, like, you know, you won an Oscar. You can't take that as validation of who you are
Mm-hmm.
any more than the negative ones because none of it is claiming your worth. None of it is pointing to you as, see, proof you're worthy.
Right.
Because that has to exist despite all of it.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be there. If your confidence, if your self-confidence is really strong and your self-worth is really strong, it exists despite any approval or anyone else's view of you.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be there anyway.
Yeah.
But I was going to say something about gratitude there, but I don't remember what I was going to say.
Well, I think it
Lost my
all
train of thought.
it all comes into gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Can you be grateful for the good and the bad?
Mm-hmm.
Can you appreciate the feedback regardless of whether it's positive or negative?
Yeah.
Can you still go, okay, well, that person gave me a 5-star review, so I'm just going to continue with all of the things that they said that I'm doing wonderfully, even though someone else also gave you a 1-star review, maybe for the same reason. Like you're not doing anything different. It's just one person sees it this way and another person sees it that way.
Right.
So for me, what I've been trying to do is just continue with what I know I'm doing and what feels right to me. And either that's going to resonate with you or it's not. And that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I can't have every customer.
Yeah.
I wish I could.
You know, and
But
even in like the events that I did, you know, I could be like, oh, I didn't make any money and I didn't, you know, I could wallow in that or self-pity about that. But as I was leaving the event with the rainbow magic, and I had a great time with a couple of our friends were there and we laughed and we joked and we had a great time. A couple that I'm going to be officiating their wedding, they came. That's a whole funny story. I was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And I was like talking to them and I was like, how did you find out about this? She goes, you're doing our wedding next year. And I said, oh,
oh
that's
my
you.
gosh, yay.
Because I'd only met them on Zoom. So I didn't recognize her in person, but it was funny because I was like, oh, that's you. You're here. So I look at that and I walked away from that event and I went, what a cool life I get to live. I just dressed up like a butterfly fairy in a big old rainbow tutu and wings. You'll see the pictures on Instagram. Go to Instagram. You can see it. But I'm all dressed up and I get to like throw glitter around and I get to like teach people how to paint cool things that even if they're not a painter or they don't know how to paint, they're going to paint something really cool because I'm showing them how to do something cool. They're going to have a great time. I just felt like, what a cool life I get to live. It's that moment where you go, I have a pretty interesting life. I get to live I get to do what I want to do.
So right there, you're living in gratitude
Mhm.
right there. And then what happened? You got an email.
Yeah.
And it basically like
Yep.
erased, it tried to erase all of
Try
that,
to.
right?
Yeah.
Like it took you from this like high floating bubble of, wow, everything is great. I live this amazing life.
What's it good?
Everything's great. And then you're like, oh,
Oh, no. Yeah, but
everybody
I could
hates
easily
me.
let it cloud the whole thing,
Mhm.
and maybe it did for a minute. I mean, I'm human. We're all human. But that's the thing too about some of the messages that we were getting from the celebrities when we did Promise to Live. We were like, tell us something, a message of hope for people. And I loved the situations, and some of them gave like really personal experiences, and I loved that,
Mhm.
where they were like, I've had a moment in my life where I thought, this just isn't worth it. It's not worth living, or it's not worth going through this. And they wanted to, Doug Jones was one. I loved his story. He's like, I saw, a hill. He was like on the side of a road, or I can't remember the story, but he was like, I saw this hill and I thought, I just want to walk over that hill and never come back. I just want to like not exist anymore. And he said, but I moved through that moment in my life and I kept going. And he's like, now my life is so great. And I have such appreciation for every step of the journey that I got to be here. You can't let those moments of like, oh, this sucks, or that didn't work, or oh, it's just like with the business. I just want to close it down, quit, get out or hide or whatever it
I don't want to
is.
be vulnerable, I think is what it comes down to is when
Mm,
you put yourself out there and you're a business owner and you're on Google and you have
yeah.
zero control over who leaves you a review, how many stars it is, or what they say. And as much as I tried to have a one-star review removed by Google, I don't think they really care. They're just like, we just let people say and do whatever they want, unless it's like threatening or hate speech or anything like that. But even then, there's still hoops you have to jump through to get it removed.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a matter of staying true to yourself and allowing others to have their experience as well,
Mm.
because not everybody's going to be like, it was great, it was awful. And most people just kind of keep that to themselves or just tell their friends or family or whatever. Not everybody goes online, not everybody sits
Mm-hmm.
down and composes an email. um there was a situation here in the shop with an employee that I upset by letting them know that they didn't complete all of their tasks. And in response, I got a 5-paragraph email. And it was like, everybody responds to things in a different way.
Yeah.
It's not about who you are and it's not a reflection of who you are. But if you can take that and learn and grow from it, which is what I've really tried to do in all of those experiences I've had
Mm.
with my employees. But it's really hard when that and it happens and it's like that instant, oh my gosh. Oh, I can't. Nope, I'm a failure. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's immediately where my mind goes when someone
Yeah.
gives me that low review or says something, negative about me or my
Or there's
business.
criticism.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, as I'm healing though, and I'm learning that the good comes with the bad, the dark comes with the light, we
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to find the balance. The pendulum's gonna swing out here, it's gonna swing out here, and we have to learn to kinda guide it
Back to
into
the middle. Yeah.
a balanced state.
And just because you are on one side or the other, like even in moments of pure, well, it's kind of the idea that Buddhism, studying just concepts of Buddhism, like secular Buddhism, talk about like nothing lasts. So even when you're in extreme joy and bliss and whatever, yes, enjoy that. Just know that's not forever and it's not meant to be.
Mhm.
So too is the pendulum the other way, in that when you're having a really hard time, something is really difficult, or you've been given something that makes you stay awake all night stewing about it, that's not forever either. Like there's no permanence to anything. So just keeping that awareness so that you don't feel like you have to react. Like, okay, this negative review or this whatever happened to me, that's it. it's done. That confirmed I'm worthless,
Mhm.
and I can now react as if that's true, as
Right.
if I really am worthless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
Try to
hard.
find gratitude. I feel like gratitude maybe is the force that pulls us back.
Right. So
It can be the thing.
finding a way to find a little bit of gratitude. And it took me a long time, but like the whole experience that I had with an old employee as well, um, there was a pretty strong attack on me, on my business, on really our community. It
Mhm.
started with me and then it kind of spread. But, in the thick of it, it was like, I'm not going to survive this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just going to have to shut down. I'm going to have to hide. I think I'm going to move to another country. I think at one point I literally thought that to myself.
No, I
I don't know how to
totally
get
get it.
away from this. How do I get away from this? And until I realized I can't get away from it, I need to learn to deal with where I am right now
Yeah.
and then find a way to on the other side. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I find myself telling people about this experience and saying, "Oh, I'm so grateful for the things that I learned.
Yeah.
So grateful to know that this person removed themselves from my life. And now I no longer have to deal with the things that I dealt with during that time." And, you know, it still pops up here and there, and I still hear stories here and there. But now I can go, wow, that person just really hasn't moved on.
Yeah.
That person is still wallowing and still hanging on to something that I literally let go of
Yeah.
and that I've moved on from. And then I've realized I can learn from and grow from and do better.
Yeah. And
So,
again, we've talked about this too, that wallowing, whatever experiences we're having, that feeling of I want to wallow in it. I want to you either keep remaining the victim of it, or it might be just like, in my experience, just, I'm going to wallow in this, like, I must be just terrible. I'm just, part of me just wants to walk around being like, I don't feel like being happy.
yeah.
Like, it felt so awful that I just want to be like, I'm just not going to be happy right now. But I think there's a part of us that wants to do that because, again, I think there's a payoff.
Mhm.
I think we neurologically, we get a chemical, even if it's just a drip of it, which could be the dopamine. It could be it could even be endorphins. It could be like, it just feels kind of good to be the victim here, or
Mm.
feels kind of good to be depressed,
Right.
basically.
I know I've lived in that before, and I know that that was in some parts of my life. That's how I got attention.
Mm-hmm.
That's how people paid attention
Yeah, that
was
makes sense.
if you're happy and you're doing well, then this was my perception. This might not be true to its extent, but I didn't feel like anybody paid attention to me in those softer moments. It was when I was down, I was crying, I was physically like not feeling well. That's when it was like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you?
Yeah.
Here, let me get you a drink. Let me take you
And
to the
that's a drip.
doctor."
That's
Yeah,
a little drip
right.
of oxytocin,
Mm,
like the
mhm.
love and connection where it's like, oh, I'm getting a little love here. Okay.
But if you're
It's not
only
a
getting
lot,
it,
it's a drip. So you're like this little addict that
right.
goes, give me a little more of that.
Mhm.
So you lean into the behaviors that are getting you that
So if
drip.
you're only getting it in those moments, then you're conditioned and you learn that that's the only way you're gonna get love. That's the only way you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna get attention. That's the only way people are gonna pay attention to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start to heal and you start to realize that that's not true and you can actually do that for yourself, that's where the true growth comes from. And unfortunately, not everybody's willing to look inward
Yeah.
and say, "Oh, I can do
They're
this
like,
for
this is working
myself."
for me.
Mhm.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep putting all this negativity and all this victimization out there, and that's where I get my love. That's where I get my attention. That's my community of people.
Yeah.
And if that's for you and that's working for you, um, okay.
There's nothing anybody else can do about that.
Right.
That.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say anything other than eventually I hope that you can find a better way
Yeah.
to live.
is going to bump up against it no matter what.
Mhm,
So it's
mhm.
kind of whether or not you're willing to keep having those difficult bump up, like, why is nothing ever working out for me? Like, why
Mhm.
am I always like ruining relationships? Why, things will happen in your life that will bump up against those patterns. So it's about whether you're ready
The
to
change.
face that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And do the shadow work.
Yep.
The shadow
Shadow
work.
work. So come in to Rising Moon Minerals. Come get your Black Moonstone.
Black Moonstone to support through the shadow work. We are located in Riverton, Utah, in Mountain View Village, close by the Cinemark and the Kona Grill. Also online, risingmoonminerals.com. I spent some time yesterday revamping my website.
Ooh.
I added the pictures from our photo
Photo
shoot.
shoot. Oh yeah, we need to add
Um,
those to the podcast too.
yeah.
So
So I
see
added
some
some
changes there.
of I added one of me and then some of like the product pictures that she took.
Oh,
And
so
it's
good.
like I'm so excited about this. And then I'm also featuring my crystal of the week on the website. So you can
Ooh.
actually go and you can see what the crystal of the week is. The 20% off or whatever it is that I'm offering for that week will automatically be applied when you add it to your cart and you check out. So it's very seamless and user friendly. So check it out. I'm on
Yeah.
Instagram, I'm on TikTok, and I would love to connect with you. So follow me, send me questions, all the things.
Yes, Rise, our season 3 sponsored by Rising Moon Minerals, and we love coming and being in the shop. Also sponsored by my business, Prism Healing. So as we've talked a lot about facing things, you find yourself stuck in those patterns we've been talking about, and you're like, how do I change that? How do I get out of that? It's really difficult to do all on your own. And therapy, obviously, very, very good modality for anything mental health. But energy work is also very helpful. I
Very.
find it to be in its own realm of healing work. And so if you need a session with me, we'll do some emotional processing. We'll confront those shadows. We'll do some of that inner child work. And you can book a session with me at prism-healing.com. We can do a card reading or we can do a full energy healing session, which I highly recommend.
Me as well.
I might need to book myself a session here soon. But yeah, Prism Healing, come and check it out. What else? We are also sponsored by Sunshine Community. So thank you, Sunshine Community, for spreading sunshine throughout our community. We need more of it.
Yes.
Even as we go into winter, we're going to need some of that community sunshine. And thank you to Rising Moon Minerals for producing our podcast. And
Ride the Wave Media.
By the way, media.
We'll have to
Sorry,
edit.
reverse,
Right, right.
scratch that. Ride the Wave Media. We were almost at iHeartRadio last night when we were saying Ride the Wave Media. It's funny. Ride the Wave Media for producing the podcast. Jess Blaine, go check out Blaine's World. He's doing a lot of funny, cool things there. And check out last month we had our ghost movie project. So if you like ghost movies and witch movies, we put out a special series of Blaine and I reviewing and breaking down movies, and it was a lot of fun. So go check that out. And we'll see you next week. Go make magic.
Bye. Bye.